I'd like to introduce Lama Michael Conklin, who will be introducing Khenpo Rinpoche. And for those who have not met Lama Michael, he's been the resident teacher here since about 1993. And we've appreciated his presence all that time, and I hope if you've not had a chance to meet him and absorb some teachings with him, that you have a chance to do so in the future here in our new home. So let's see where Rinpoche is.
As opposed to the silent transmission, right?
Are we supposed to stand or can we sit down?
Oh, you're fine, just wherever you are is fine. When Rinpoche comes in, we will all stand. And those of you who are inclined and can, as you'll see, some people will do prostrations to Rinpoche. And again, if you're inclined and understand that and wish to do it, then please do it. And if you're not, you can stand or sit down at that time. So I need to say a couple of things. I want to say a couple of things about Khenpo Rinpoche. And whenever I'm asked to stand up in front of a bunch of people, I always make it easy on myself by trying to think of a worthwhile theme to lay some other things on. And in this particular case, I think it's appropriate because we are still in the celebratory phase of having this building and meeting together and doing things in it. Even when we were outside in the tent, we were in full celebration mode, and we still are. So it'll be difficult to give that up for a while, if you'll excuse us. You know, there's a saying in our culture, which I cannot remember the exact words, but it's kind of like the victory goes to those who stay with it. And in the long run, that's where things pay off. That's where you get what you originally hoped you would get. And that's difficult. It's always difficult to stay with things and overcome obstacles on the way. So that's why we have what we call Sangha. So the Sangha is the community of practitioners. We could say you're all Sangha. And one of our primary chores as friends and colleagues and brothers and sisters in the Dharma is our job is to encourage each other to stay with it until the end comes, whatever that is. So Khenpo Rinpoche is a prime, I should say, example of staying with it. Since if you haven't met him before, you can hold this in your mind when you listen to him and look at him, that he first met his teacher, Boka Rinpoche, when he was about 11 years old. And in a nutshell, never left his teacher, Boka Rinpoche, who was one of the great teachers in the tradition. and went to school and became a scholar in the tradition, kind of a, we think of him more like a scholar yogin, someone who not only understands the conceptual issues and teachings, but also practices those teachings. And when you hear him teach, you can see that his understanding is not just conceptual, which could be transmitted by opening a book and just reading it. So the amazing thing is, for those of us who have known him for a couple of decades or more, is just the story of his life as a young person, getting that training and staying with Bokar Rinpoche all the way up until Bokar Rinpoche passed away some time ago. And now we get to have him today come here and say some words of encouragement and teach something in the Dharma. And we've been doing that for a few days, and we just can't seem to escape the celebratory piece about it. So if you feel that, it's okay. You can have as much as you want. You won't feel jealous about it. So now I'm filling airtime, waiting for him to come. We just spent some time with him out at our retreat land where people are doing a 3-year retreat. So in the long retreat, he would go into each of the cloisters there and give teachings that were appropriate for someone who had been on a long retreat. So it's difficult to do a long retreat of 3 years, in a certain way unspeakably difficult. It's even more difficult to provide teachings to people who are on a long retreat like that, because what their needs are different than what most of us require. So I think Rinpoche is here now, so we'll wait a moment.
Just as you stood nicely, also remember to offer the other piece of respect, which is to turn off the cell phone.
So we'll begin by reciting the prayers and the handouts that you all seem to have.
Deve Jodan Dembara Jus Donga da Donga Je Jodan Dravara Jus Donga Mebe Dewa Tamba Damendra Jus Nyere Jadan Nyedan Drave Tanyam Jembola Nebara Juje Wadan Shojen Shabadan Jesu Yer Kujen Zova Yegewa Shunzedai Chizaba Tamje Dage Tamje Jengo Kuju Juje Medo Re Rava Nege Nyende Yemba Sanje Hindu Mede Purwa Droga Namda Yena Chuba Yo Loye Jeda Jeda Chejon Demon Teba Chuje Golo Godo Zo Duzun Zanje Tamjen Dube Ngawari Danjen Gorja Jabda Golden Gambo Bardin Sabe Lama 도제 장 전부 협제들 드마메 발라 고즘 고바 전부 자자진 저도 잡으니 오라죠 신제 라브란제도 조 조르렌 지게베 예강들어던 제공바데 잠제도르 이게 교라겐데베 보거라 도제 장라 찬자로 다 들은 거는서 que sisi que tiene chuzo sarba de la ane tomare angaran so ane lenchek to zomne ane chu chenye jigyuke ane tukap sangboshi tobandela ngaran que tiene gawadang trowa ya chenbo dang rebe que tone ane chirang so sangmala ane samje trashi dele kyuayin.
So now that we have this opportunity to gather here at this new Dharma Center for KCC, I feel very happy and delighted to be able to come on this auspicious occasion where we can engage in some explanation of and some listening to the Dharma. So first I want to offer all of you auspicious greetings or tashi dele.
Ane lakbar doyang, ane tering dala, ane pebege, ane chudo pechawa 망체규대 nganato chudo nyingba redos de nganazo enetine ta lenchik dun zone ene chu chengi laryang jigyuke ene kogap songbode nganam mixeke ene gator chembojong.
And especially the fact that many of you who have gathered here are old Dharma friends, old brothers and sisters, Dharma brothers and sisters. The fact that I can share this, come together and again meet you makes me quite pleased, so I'm very happy about this.
ene ta kerangso de pechawa ta los peche sumju hipju nishu ngondu ene ta nangju la shogne ene nyamle mu tone ene nange shadare de mixe ke yang gabo chongs.
And especially, there are many of you here that I know have been engaged in Dharma practice for 20, 30, and even 40 years. So I want to make an even more special welcome, or I'm very happy to be meeting all of you again.
Dingsang zambulenge tene me mangboje ene tomar nang bichula jok logic ni and tazu ndabote tese ene lobjongche nyamleche and tene yo ene yo mar sinja yen rogres 통주 yo rikju yo mar ene kerang so ene ya tene lo mangbo te sam jirang la mo tone ene chu nyamle ta che himba di gar tengu yorsena ta chu di ge ene jekda gom nyamle gar nangu yo na di ge kerang so ge semgyo la 펜도 첨보지 ene tene 종요 베게 따 땡거 요레스 대송다 나랑 그냥 사버도 될 가서 첨보 종스.
So these days in the world, there are a lot of people who come and they meet Buddhism or the teachings of the Buddha Dharma. Maybe they check it out, they stay for a year or two, but then after that they disappear and we don't see them again. The fact that so many of you have been doing this for such a number of years, that you've continued with your Dharma practice, with your meditation, etc., this is a sign that there's been some definite benefit taking place in your mind. So it's because of this that I'm especially pleased to be here with you all.
다 나랑서 ene nangba sangye be ene chuge 다 잡아도 가르세나 다 semgyu ene 야트네 뇨몽베 왕도 송바 대니 파다 ene gom 잡아라 때네 ene 뇨몽도 파다 냠마르체 뇨몽 차상빵 맛없나 뇨몽 칼라강잠체 ene 야트네 ene 빵터바당 뇨몽 되게 ene 야트네 뀨 가르치기도 대 ngōhi 녀몽 되게 녀보 가래도 대 ngōhi ene 녀보 대 ene 때 터바 다대 때네 ene 드네 곰 냠네 지교때 ene 히라게 펜도 첨보요래.
So what is the root of the teachings of Buddhism? We can say that the root of the teachings of Buddhism is coming to understand the afflictions that we all experience in our minds and employing means to lessen these. So through one's practice of Dharma, through one's meditation, all these unhealthy, all these conflicted states of mind that do arise in the mind can be lessened. Even if we can't abandon them completely through the practice of Dharma, these become less. We come to recognize the afflictions as afflictions. We learn what the antidotes to these afflictions are, and then we employ these antidotes. And by doing this, through our practice, through our meditation, great benefit definitely arises.
Tene ta nangbi chu di ngarang sola ene ya tene nyere mit nang du ene lale ta na tar tupjuchi tupyaji des. Ene je nyere la mit sobe nang du lale ta ne kayo ge ene pendo ene ya tene tende ene ya tene njungu yores. Gari pendo jugo yorsna ene 다이 공도 휴바 나기 녀몽 모히 에네 녀몽 뒤게 인야다 레 카르사도 녀몽 때가 때네 레 카르사도 때라 때네 에네 동아르게 여봐 땡아도 에네 하고 요르 때 하고네 때라 녀보 에네 카요 라요 땡주 요르 녀보 때때네 에네 곰나 땡데 에네 고 다랑게 에네 고 탈라테보 에네 펜도 요르스.
So again, this practice of the Buddha Dharma, this is definitely something that we can employ every day of our lives. And if we do this, we will definitely experience practical benefit from doing this practice of the Dharma. So what benefits do we experience? Like I had just said, we can come to recognize these afflicted states of mind as afflicted states of mind. We can come to understand what is the fruit of engaging in actions when under the influence of these conflicted states of mind. We come to know that suffering or unhappiness comes about when we act in this way. So understanding this, we have very practical means to employ antidotes to keep us from engaging in actions while under the sway or under the power of these afflictions. If you do this practice, it's quite definite that you will experience benefit.
Then 낭비 추대 하장 그 축보래. 택바 최종 나당 제베 나네 아니 누자 셈제 소소 감당 왕보당 삼바당 튼베게 탑람 하장 그 망보제 에네야 되네 송여레스. 대답을 탑람 때 에네 라마 게베히니 세녀다 덴바 냠용다 덴바 히게 and dokya trigger and drone and lam kuma latin drosa kita mangbo yoret at this any nyamle ke remba yang mangbo yoret o telate ne and chikta sozuke chik zondu tang and hirap tang and le sangela tene and kaje ngone dana chen dinela and tarbike lamna sene and semche tamjela in 펜바당 대화 튜베게 엔 기부 담바 빠드메바 인종투고 요레스 대달 마종나야 랑예 엔 야티네 응네 전에네 내갑 엔 야티네 샘라 펜바당 타독 샘라 대화 토베게 엔 야티네 제부 칼라 강삼치 땡데 엔 야티네 토비야 요레스.
The Buddha Dharma, we say, is a very rich tradition. It's very rich in many different means. So we have the lesser vehicle, the greater vehicle, we have the secret mantra of Vajrayana. Whatever the aptitude, whatever the disposition, whatever the capacity that the being, the student, the prospective student may have within them, there are many different teachings. There are teachings within the Buddha Dharma that will suit them. You go about practicing this path by finding a teacher, some kind of lama, some kind of spiritual friend, and through meeting with this person, with this person who has experience in practicing these things themselves, through this authentic teacher, you can be led along this path, the path of virtue. And there are many different practices one can engage in, again, and that's going to depend upon which ones suit you or which ones you're naturally drawn to given your disposition, etc. And then, if one is diligent, if one has joy in this practice, if one employs their discerning intelligence, it's definitely possible in this very life to travel through these 5 paths that lead to liberation. And once you attain that, you can be of great benefit. You can establish beings in great happiness, true well-being, by leading them once you have this realization yourself. Even if you can't consummate this path and become realized, and many people in this world have, even if you don't get this level of realization, you definitely, through this path, can come to experience less suffering, to have more general happiness and well-being in the meantime, and establish the causes to attain the ultimate happiness of liberation. So if you practice, you will definitely attain the fruit.
Dene ta nganangso nangbeki chuende yang nguyo ke nezu tang tumbare. Nguyo tang nezu tumbeki tone ene ya dene songu yore. Mato nguyo ke nezu tang matonpe ene pe topki mewa che ene chenpo che ene ya ta zikpo che ene dene songu yomaris. Tata pena nganangso takje kare ta kanjesi nganangso nangbi chuende takje che na yang ene ya takje chigyu yoba. takje chene ene kanglaya tene ngarwa mepa ko nguyo tatumba te yang nangbeke ene ten tumong maye be chuji keju kebato pabachires.
Further, these teachings of Buddhism are in accordance with reality. That is to say, you don't have to believe different things, or we're not just pulling things out of the sky. When we do investigation into the teachings of what the Buddha has given, we find time and time again that these correspond to the way that reality is perceived by others. So there's no contradiction in terms of what the scientists or whatever are discerning of our reality and what the teachings say in the Buddhist tradition. This is a very special quality of the Buddha Dharma.
And sangye range nade chene song yores. And ser la ngadu ser yakpor dukpo kande te takje chetu tangbo mela sek. Tene ene ya yangne yang tu che dong tup ene ser yak tu kande tu takje chigi yores. Pe te dang tumba sangye ta kunangke ene ya songde maungpa kerang tu jinjuk suke yangne yang tu takje chis en takje chene kerang suke semda pengi dogna lagne tars pengi medo ene nguyo ne tu ta ene meto pan garba che ene tonge dona ya chores 마도 상제에서 다 전부 정래 되게 ene 까래 대 인증 메제 ene kerang suke ene tene 냠내 제고 라네 딸 거랬어 약게 ene 때만 까다고 ene 상제 두 남양 송요 말했어 딱지 인증 메제 지 송요랬어.
The Buddha himself said, just like when people are going to buy some gold, before they buy the gold, they examine it to make sure it's pure gold. So they melt it, they hammer it to make sure there's no impurities in the middle or like a piece of iron hiding inside this lump of gold. They put it through many different tests to make sure that what they're buying is actually pure gold. So the Buddha said, you should regard my teachings just like that. You should investigate my teachings and look for yourself. And if you find that they don't contradict reality, if you find that by practicing them there's benefit for you, then by all means practice them. But if you find there's some contradiction or you find that there's some untruth in them, there's no command from me saying that you should practice these things or believe these things just because I say so. I encourage you, in fact, you must investigate them for yourself.
다들 상계랑 그 추지 닝보데 가르송 요르세나 다 득바 제양 메자힌 에 개와 푼숨 초퍼지 랑게 셈네 용순들 안데 상계 템바인 송바레 다 에는 가랑 소 르nga 이 숨게 에네 득바 에네 야 빵코레스 데 득바데 마빵나 랑라 노그레 힌라 노그레스 득바 제양 메자힌 개와 푼숨 초퍼지 르nga 이 숨게 에는 가도 개와 네 강톱도 드롭 거레스 개와데 드롭아이나 랑라 팽게데 힌라 팽게스 아니 상게 그 추지 싸와지 가레스나 차와 매바스 상게 추지 차와 매바레스 차와 매바스야 데 가레스나 아니 딕 르nga 이 숨기 아니 딕바 아니 마방나 아니 힌라 차와 용거레스 노바 용거레스 아니 르nga 이 숨기 아니 야트네 딕바 빵바이나 아니 랑라 노바 매바 힌라 차와 매바 대용거레스 다티네 타마타마데라 개와 푼숨 촉발제스 디바 제마자 개와 푼숨 촉발제 다 개와라 림바 망보여스 개와 푼숨 촉발세야 되가르스나 다 셈규 인데 단다 뇨몽베게 인데 야tin 랑히 셈규 데 인데 파 장네 곰잡네 장네 아니 택바 쳔부추 다 잠바당 닝제 창줍치 셈 사모 동반이 있던 대조에는 야tin 가서 라네 따네 곰바이 이나 다 개와 푼숨 촉바 세야드레스 다 대답을 개와 푼숨 촉바 제베 고네 아니 랑게 셈트 다 돌고레스 당보테스.
So we could ask, what is the very essence of the teachings of the Buddha? So there's a famous quote by the Buddha himself: don't engage in even the slightest misdeed, engage in all the best forms of virtue, purify your own mind. This is the teaching of the Buddha. So the first one is, don't engage in even the slightest misdeed. So what does this mean? This means that through our actions of body, speech, and mind, we should be careful in these actions never to commit any deed that is harmful, any misdeed. If you don't abandon these, then your actions are going to be of harm to yourself and they're going to be of harm to others. Through our actions of body, speech, and mind, if we can do our best to abandon these actions, it's going to be beneficial for ourselves and it's going to be of benefit to others. So we say that the root of the Buddha's teachings is, in Sanskrit, ahimsa, non-harm, not doing harm. That's why the very first teaching is to, as best you can, abandon any negative action of body, speech, and mind for the benefit of yourself and others. The second line is engage in the best of virtues. So what does this mean? We need to purify or clear away all of these afflictions that are in our mind. And we do this through meditation. So there are many things, many virtues we can practice. In terms of the Mahayana Dharma, we have the teachings of loving kindness, compassion. We have the very profound view of emptiness. Through putting these into practice, through meditating on these, this is the way to engage in the greatest kinds of merit. So practices associated with these and meditations on them are how we engage in this best virtue.
다 셈규 마들나 나랑수 그 셈데 간데지 요르세나 랑보셰 뇽바 낭히 요레스 랑제 뇽바 아 랑제 뇽바데 아네 벤책수롱 와레 아네 베 노세 망보에네 지그레스 에나 양테네 랑제 뇽바데 탑캐빅 토네 랑보셰 던게 게 메디게 아네 그 탑캐빅 토네 갈래 갈 롭종셰네 싹규세 ngol nungge ene kola ene nyamba do ta te endo se ne lo dang dawa ne kuge langbo che nyamba te jaksurong we langse nyamba te dolne ene langbo che pe nyomjong pe nganang su ke pe rawang de ta ba ene nganang su langbo che la to no nganang su sok pe chongjong res ene te nganang su ene langse kangla shen ene langbo che la pe wang de ne ane rotup ge yores o ta pete nanghe ngarang so semgyu de langse nanghe re ane tap kebik tone chamba dang ningje jangjup ge sem chakyu tab de ge enen doksta nyembo tenge hege ane ya gomna ane yongdam chen ngarang so sem khorang ge nelu rango hi ne ane lene sem hiwala ine ne sem hiwala ne to rangla nopa mepa rangla dewa yopa hinla ina nopa mepa hinla pempa da dewa truntumpa o tinda chigli yodes ta sem dol se tinda chigli.
The third line was purify or tame your own mind. So what happens if we don't tame our mind? What is that like? The untamed mind, we say, is like a crazy elephant or a mad elephant. So a mad elephant is a pretty frightful sight. Mad elephants can engage and can cause a lot of harm. But if there's a person who is very skillful, perhaps wild would even be better here. If there's a person who's very skillful and has a lot of means and has the training to do so, it's possible to tame this wild or this mad elephant. So they have their means, they speak to it gently, sometimes maybe they have to be a little stern with it, they have a hook that they can use to sort of discipline it, they can give it a present when it responds or when it does something favorable, etc. And then if they continue with this training, if they do it over some number of months or some number of years, then this very frightening, dangerous animal can become quite docile, quite gentle. It can be done to do what we need it to do. We can have it engage in work. And even though we are only small beings compared to a huge elephant, we can ride it, we can use it, etc. So, like this example, our own mind is like this crazy elephant, full of the afflictions. But if we begin to use the skillful means to tame it, and the skillful means are the meditations on loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, we use the hook of loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, the antidotes, to tame this wild mind. And through these meditations, we can slowly pacify the afflictions. We can come to see the abiding nature of our mind, which is actually peace, and we can come to rest in the peace of the nature of the mind. And then when you do this, you won't be causing harm for yourself, you won't be causing harm to others, it'll be very beneficial for yourself, and you'll be able to spread benefit and happiness to others. So this is what we mean by taming the mind.
Sem dulbi ke tabde ta gom jaya so chekure nyembo tenguro nyembo ten ane nyembo tendang de ne yatne nyomong de ngo hi par chene nyomong ngo hi se ade kare sena ta ngadu pe na nyomong khongro hyadang hyok chenpo chende ne ya ta kya yong go dog na ane nyomong tige ne yatne wang du ma tang wa chen lamsang khongro kya yong ge khongro khorang kande ji do lamsang khongro ngo ta ko re se khongro de kanil lab jong tan da chilo de wa chen de lab jong chilo lab na kar hyar lo ne kanil lab jong de ta je che na chilo ne lab yo ma re tene ta ne ya nyomong de nang ne lab jong na so to sem 그 nang lab jong na sem nang kanil lab jong de ta je ngune che na ne ge ma re da nyomong 다 이空도 깨 때문에空도데 다다 가발도 누구야 어떻게 가발도 아니 그 최종라고 간데도 예비 간데도 카도도 간데도 레비 나가도 함 닝게 나가도 함 수부쳐도 함 나도 또 스타제 제나 되네 자네 얘기 말해 만약에 아니 만약에 봐 되게 터드 아니 걔네 다 샘코랑 ngola 다시 샘 지금 녀몽께 공로께 용의 코랑 그거 많이 봐 되게 터라 아니 갈소네 돼 거라 갈소 마행 왔다면 이제 갈소 다 근데 쟤네 곰 터바이나 아니 녀몽 되게 랑라 노기 말에 헬라 노기 말에 헬라 노기 말에 간데서 노기 말에나 나도 되게 고 맞아 녀몽 고 마시나 녀몽 콩도지게는 람상 동바 작보지대 아니 동바도 배 시리어스 동바 작보지대 아니 책년 받을라 메들라 매 퍼고 짜는거 봐 이제 그거 봐 아니 책년 봐 파직랍 되는 코 파게 메대 콩도랑 거 봐. 코 콩도랑 나 콩도랑 아니 아니 이제 촉바 효르게 잠대 효르게 엔 기본 좀 마송아 텔레다는 야 녀몽 코랑에 야 되네 랑어 때는 뭐시 버제네 아니 뭐시네 아니 녀몽 코라 디 콩도 얘기 말라 안 되거든 안 디ngo라 검대나 아 랑라 팬도 신라 녹으면 도 왔어
So the main means to tame this mind, the main antidote we need to employ to tame this mind is meditation. So what's the first thing we need to do? We need to recognize that these afflictions have arisen in our mind. So as soon as we recognize that they're there, then we can investigate them. So for example, let's say very strong anger arises in our mind. The first thing is to recognize it, because if you don't recognize it, you're going to fall under the sway of it. But if you can recognize it, now you can employ some means. So you can look into this anger and try and see for yourself, what's the nature of this anger? You try and discern many things about it, like from where did it come? And we can investigate, did it come from outside? Did it come from the north, south, east, or west? Did it come from the inside? Where is that anger now? Does it have a size or a shape or a color? Is this inside our body or outside our body? If it's inside, is it in our heart? Is it in our brain? No matter how much investigation you engage in, you won't find any place that this anger has come from nor where it resides. And then within this space of non-finding, when you don't find it, this investigation itself is going to lessen the anger. There's going to be some space that wasn't there before you were consumed by it. And in this space that opens up, you just rest in this. You try and rest in the space that opens up without distraction. So this is how we employ meditation in this context. And if you can do this, you will see the nature of this affliction. You won't fall under the sway of it. If you don't recognize that the afflictions have arisen in your mind, once they arise, you're going to, as we say, fall under the sway of them. So this anger will get more and more. You can't bear it. You're going to get more angry. You're going to say something, maybe nasty to somebody. Now this other person's not going to be pleased. Maybe they get scared or they get angry and they say something bad to you, and now you're going to get in a fight. And this isn't pleasant for you. It isn't pleasant for the other person. So the first thing we need to do is recognize it's there, and then through the investigation, it will disappear. It can dissipate. And if we can do this, then there will be more benefit for self and other, and less harm to self and other.
녀몽 세주도 딱 빼친 살고지 어레스. 초직제나 다 녀몽 세주도 빼면서 빗다 녀가 첨보. 빼미 마롱바. 미빼 콩도 첨보 미 마롱바. 네 누바당 댐바 톱다 댐바. 덴데식게 셈주라 녀몽바 해당 잡보지 끼네. 엔 쿠에네 다 해당 디그 제순 당네. 해당 디그 왕도 당네. 아니 그 내가 독보지세나 나도 전 미자다 동다 잠불 렁래네 된 두직래 노종 쳐보네 소도고요라서 대소야 돼 다이 강사 디그 유를 옆에 녀몽 해당을 된 중아래서 다 녀몽 세주대에야 왕도 마두 녀몽라 에야 되는 녀보 마데나 녀몽 코랑 빼면서 누바쳐 뭐 흉쳐보 어떤다 요래.
So these afflictions are kind of strange, actually. From one perspective, they can be quite dangerous. So let's say there's sort of this malevolent person, and they become angry, and let's say this person has a lot of power at their disposal. Based upon the rising of this anger, this affliction of anger, if they fall under the sway of it, or if they chase after, if they employ it, fall under the sway of it's better, I think. In one instant, they can cause a lot of harm for hundreds or thousands of the people in the world today. And why would this harm have come about? Because of this affliction, anger, this thing that arose in the mind. However, this happened because they didn't apply the antidotes. So if you don't know how to apply the antidotes, they're quite dangerous.
양 초직내제나 녀몽 때 켜누바요 말았어. 그때 녀몽 히라레스 녀몽 피옥자 누바요 말았어. 벤나 단다 녀몽 에네 콩로 흉첨보 지양도 간주 히랍기 메게 도 딱제선 꼬마 안 라안도 그랬어. 그 주연도 그랬어. 라도 그랬어. 다요 말았어. 벤나 찌찌 종종 저게 돌라 에네 힘이 좀 랩다와 나게. 에네 힘이 에네 옆에 적수롱 와서 에네 야 돌라 찌찌 요나 다 찌찌 콜 카카치야 요 말았어. 누바요 말았어. 그 힘이 그런 거 빼도 왕을 연로 그랬어. 빼테 나게 나도 히랍기 메게 다시 히랍기 메게 에네야 녀몽들 녀보 땡히 겁나 녀몽 콜라코 누바 가가요 말스.
But on the other hand, the afflictions are quite powerless, actually. So they're actually these humble little things, humble little manifestations. So for example, let's take this anger. Let's say this strong anger arises in our being. If we know how to look with this discerning mind, we would say the eye of prajna. Prajna means like this, insightful wisdom. If we can look with this insightful wisdom at this anger, it immediately disappears. So what seems so powerful and to have so much strength behind it before, if you know how to employ the means, its power is instantly gone. So for example, like if there's a little mouse, a humble little mouse that maybe can do some damage to your home or something, but if it comes into the presence of a big strong cat, that mouse, which could cause some trouble before, now becomes very powerless, very humble, so to speak. So this is true for the afflictions if we know how to meditate using our discerning intelligence, our prajna. If we know how to do this, then they lose their power altogether.
힘이 매나 이제 거다 되게 말했어. 그때 가대 나 딱딱딱딱 나도 내 노바지 그랬어. 그런 노바지 강톱톱지 그랬어. 다이나 힘이 내 쇼쳐버지 람나데 코카 가지야 요말 코나 레지 왕게. 땅 안에서 내 녀몽스지 그런 왕도 땅나 아니 그배 직레 다 메게와 랑기 정말 노베게 있는 사와 망보치 그랬어. 땅 안에서 녀보때 텀나 아니 개개 내 녀몽들 가가서야 요 말이지.
So yeah, it's like this mouse where it can engage in all these little harmful, mischievous things if it's left to its own. But once there's a cat to keep it at bay, there's nothing for it to do. It loses all its nefarious qualities. So our afflictions are like this. If we fall under the sway of them, yeah, they can cause us to engage in a lot of negative actions, and a lot of harm for self and other can come from this. But once we know how to apply the antidotes, they're quite harmless.
땅에 다이 통마르 휴바나게 만나서 낭베게 로게 아니 곰자야 세주때 카요 라요 펜도 요레스 펜도 가려 요트나 땅 안한소를 귤 다잉에 녀몽 콩도스야 됐다 녀몽 찍게 베레스 다때 많이 봐 녀몽 망보 요르다 도사 되는 맞아 아니 차도 설나 아니 현라야 때 노셈 아니 또 책유든 맞아 nga sampe ngaja ta tende ke nyomong ke rek mangbo yor te nyomong rek re la ene tanda nyembo to se ene re te ya yor pena ngana to ta si lojong da bo se na te ba lojong se to ko ta nyomong dorbe ke tabla ya jungdar che ba nyembo te ene gom jaga ya samno tang ya tenda la ene tin lojong se yor 다티나 베드 로종나라 제에니야다 가르데 제 녀몽 더베기 탑라 단젠 더베기 탑라 엔티기 냠보 몽보 제에네tin 송요레스 다티 냠보테 송아투 텐탑 곰탑나 뭐네랑라 카요라요 펜도 여바 힌라야네 펜바 짜침보 튼트 그래 다티 곰지 페요레
Like I said before in the beginning, within this tradition of Buddhism, the meditation is incredibly practical. So what do I mean by practical? So there are all these different afflictions that arise in our being. So I gave anger as an example, but of course there are many others. There's desire, there's stinginess, there's jealousy, there's one of the worst ones, pride, there's the mind that wishes to cause harm to others. All of these are different types of afflictions, and there are even more. So for each of these different afflictions, there is an antidote. So if you know how to employ these antidotes, you have a lot of means at your disposal. And if you study something like the Mahayana teachings of mind training, you will find that all of these teachings are about employing means through which you can tame your afflictions, through which you can tame your self-clinging. There are things to reflect on, there are things to meditate on, there are things you can do in the midst of your daily life. So, if you can meditate on these different antidotes, you have many practical means through which you can lessen your suffering, the suffering for yourself and the suffering for others, many practical means at your disposal through which you can enhance your own well-being and the well-being of others. So this has been a short introduction to some of the benefits of meditation.
Tene neka tata langando enia anje enia semla tete ene dewa yongya ngalso ya tabla yang inda gomle laba yo mare penangana to memangbo nyamdola lega le memangbo nyamdola keja she tawa tunda ma ba ene che ene dezo tola ene ya ngatu keja mangbo she ene lega mangbo le de yongsamse ene ngatu tangche gres tangche 안 탕체베 내가라 아니 나도 까마잭스 랭라 샘 코랑게 랑히 샘 코랑게 랑히 땡도 마주 빠제네 샤네 마주 빠제네 에네테네 샤바이나 안텔다 곰세난다 에네 ngalsobe 탑 약휴지 차려요 샘 홀로 젠도 제 두숨게 다장이 나니 두숨게 있는 나 주바 탐제 파르제 내가 에는 까마제세 니세제 홀로 룰로 에네 샘 코랑마 르지 르네 샘 코랑게 랑어 강리엔 바테파 주주르 강강마마 줄레메바 엔 홀로 제네네야 샤 토바이나 다데 내가 에네 ngalso야 라양 샤다 에네 펜바요레 아니 타독라 엔티 샘 코랑게 네로 눈에 되네 랑오히네 샘 코랑게 네로 눈에 에네 랑오 오숨도 에네 통화들라 아니 차자 첨보스다 차자 첨보 깨다 첨보 들라세요레스
So one of the best things that we can do for sort of immediate restoration of our mind is this meditation. It's important that we learn how to rest our mind. If we can do this, it's very beneficial in a variety of ways. So throughout our lives, we have to engage in a lot of work. Maybe we have to engage in a lot of talk, whatever. Through engaging in our daily activities, we can become kind of run down or feeling quite exhausted. And when this happens, if we can remember to employ some meditation, this is actually the most profound or the best way to restore ourselves. Maybe just for 1 minute, letting the mind rest in its nature. Just let it be as it is without trying to alter it. If you can do this, this is what we mean by meditation, and this is one of the means, there are many. But this is the best way to restore yourself, to refresh yourself. Let go of all the thoughts, confused thoughts, or thoughts of yesterday or tomorrow, etc. And for 1 or 2 minutes, just rest, just relax. Try and let the mind just be in its own nature, feeling like you don't have to change it however it is. If you can do this, if you learn to do this, there are immediate benefits that you will feel. You will instantly feel restored, so it has this practical benefit in the moment. And in terms of the ultimate benefit, this is the means through which one can realize the nature of mind. And when we say realize the nature of mind or see the nature of the mind, this is what we mean by this very famous term and practice, Mahamudra. So this resting the mind in this way is beneficial in the moment for immediate relief, and it's also beneficial in the ultimate sense because it leads to the ultimate realization.
다 근데도 두 균둥아랑 또 지소 미냠돌라 네 미트낭라 땅가나서 레가 레기요레 어때네 메다 냠돌 에네 빠타 가르체제 메다 냠돌라 가나도 깨자히 레가 레 두균도 두여 다티 냠돌라 균게 즉 냠레 균게 냠레 즉 균제세다 메테게 낭라 저기네 샘코랑게 랑올라 때스에 마주바 야 배탕체 승자용의 돈나 때 까마적니 저래 바로바로라 에네 수나치 톱게래라 제가 두소 톱게래 에 녀몽 망보치 똑다 매 망보까지 승자 망보치 샘 톡도나 때스 나서 야 녀몽 코랑게 랑올 따잉에 휴바나기 때다 얘기 말봐 녀몽 때스 나서 야 레갈래 다데 너도 제가 미트 균지 미트 나라 개첨보 요래 람젠다고 개첨보 제다 요래 팬도 첨보 요래
So throughout our lives in our society, as we're living our lives, of course we have to do a lot of things, like I just said. Sometimes we have to work, sometimes we have to engage in conversation, we have to do all kinds of things. If you can find a way to work practice into this life, this busy life that we lead, we sort of call this gyun care. It sort of means carrying the continuum of your practice. If you can carry the continuum of your practice into your life and find time to rest when you're feeling overwhelmed by these things, it'll be very beneficial. Just maybe 1 or 2 minutes is all you have to find, and all of us should be able to find the time to do this if we just make the effort to do so. So you're engaging in this work or this talk and you feel tired and run down, go off by yourself for a minute. Sit for just 1, 2 minutes. let your mind rest in its nature, feel restored, then go back to whatever work or conversations, etc. you have to engage in. If you can live your life like this, if you can work this into your routine of your day, you will see great benefit. It's really important that we find ways and time to do this.
Oh yeah. 다당에 낭주 노드 낭주게 닝보 노드 제데 야티네 모조 초도 휴 에네 곰세 주다 제 개체 보임 바곰 야그바 에네 곰데 잡나 지 팬도 가려요 봐 대도 에네 지 카요 라요게 에네 팬도 간대요 봐디 에네 자 닝보 노드 삼지 에네 휴바이 나도 까망아 세지 곰잡 에네 곰 가데 자 그러선다 다디 양나다 곰작당이 요래 소소소소 즉 녀몽 동아 두섬 가르치기도 다다 쌤나 디 다힌 휴바나기 녀몽데 가니기 좀 다다 가와라도 아니 얘기면 오늘 가와라 천송 딱지 때 시제 딱지 때 제는 얘기 말에 많이 와야다 아니 쌤 코랑게 랑올라 아니 줄레 매봐 아니 르지 르네 아니 제히 따때 힘들어 봐 아니 르 담지 진 담지 텐데 강라 에네야 데스 곰낭 에앙에네야 테도 녀몽 라직다 딱제 마제 나양 에네 다다 계직 니게 생거 똑바티 계직 당보데 내 살바래 요마래 마옹바데 다다 냅주래 요마래 다다 다데 에네 샘 코랑 계직 히바 계직 타모지 디게랑올라 아니 렉담 히담기 강올라 아니 르지 르네 아니야 쇼스 곰 대기약 받들라 곰 세그레스.
So this has been a brief introduction into the essence of the teachings of the Buddha. I've also spoken a bit about the importance of meditation. So now we should take some time to do some meditation. And along with these introductions, I've given you some essential points on practical means, the practical benefit of engaging in this practice or in this path. So I'm going to give you an option of 2 meditations that you can do that we'll do for a few minutes here. One is if you find that your mind is overcome by some affliction or some discursiveness, some mental discursiveness, you can look into these, the affliction or the discursiveness, look to see, well, where does it come from, or where is it now? And whatever investigation you do, you won't find anything there, but you might find some space. So in the space of not finding, try and rest your mind in that. Try and maintain your mindfulness and awareness of what's happening, and just recognize the space that's there. The other meditation you can do, if you don't seem to have any discursiveness or strong afflictions in your mind in the moment, is just try and rest your mind in the very moment. So what do we mean by this very moment? Rinpoche snapped his fingers. So the present moment is that which is happening right now. The past is past, the future is yet to come. So what is left? What is left is the very present. So how do you rest in this present? You're just being aware that there is some awareness in your mind, that there is knowing in your mind. Just trying to rest relaxedly in that knowing quality is the second type of meditation. So let's meditate like this for a few minutes.
다 들은 깨자 망보 휴메고 와체 안 되나 다 냠내 난게 닝바 아니 하장 망보 폐피야 아니 기랑 속에 아니 냠용 당 저베게 토네 아니 좋아 가려나 되네 송낭나 야보도 아니 가능서 뒤 좋아 절에 텔라 때네 양 sarwa towa khage pep denge yona kondola ene yatine pendo yongere tesonda ene tandanga do chwatele utuk nangyin.
So maybe I don't need to say too much more now. I think it'd be good if we had some question and discussion. There are many of you here who have been practicing for a long time, so maybe through your experience you have some things you'd like to talk about. And then for those of you who are newer, I think by hearing the questions that the other asks, I think it will be beneficial for them as well. So we can have questions. Don't be shy. Yeah. Imagine that. Tara Sullivan raises her hand right away.
Rinpoche, my question is, I have now reached the venerable age of 77, and my body does not cooperate very well any longer. I experience pain in lots of different places, and I would like to know exactly how to meditate on or with pain.
다 곰지나 아니 창마 되는 람 쳇트 그래스 화바르도 이제 로종 라 이네 되는 냠내 용게지나 안다 나자 라다 곰 카게지 어레스 가드 나자 코랑 양 릭바테네 나자 코랑 라 셈테네 나자 뜻다 가와도 나자테 네 곰지 땡제 믹빅 땡제네 엔 도세네 곰야 제요레 되는 이 바텔라 다 단다 소주게 인디아 나자 제 가사칼라 나 자데 나랑 소티네 다 소주께와 곰메게 때네 레라 때네 즉 레메게 와서 발라 때네 딘제버 임바라 엔 소주게 인디아 딘 도고레스 아 숨바데 나랑서 코르완데라 깨와랑 살베 휴라 아니 다 깨와 가와 나와 쳬와스 나랑서 멜라 인데 동아 쪼책 인데 tin 깨가 나시스야 테레 다 게베 동아 나베 동아 난다 보였는데 다 게베 동아 다 망보 요르 나랑 니 찍바레 나로 든주 동아레 메게 통고요 말에 암조 시다 고요 말에 강바 나기요레 릭바 살포요 말에 다테서 그 게빅 동안에 또 정나 가 쳐봐야만 나 찍고 말왔어 상마 몇 상말라 람가 타라는 거야래 코르발레 깨와랑 서비스월라 코 람가 타라는 거야래 나 찍고 있나 어떤 나 샘팜 그러 나 답에 나기도 사기도 없어 나 상마 찍고 있다 아니 샘팜 거야 개면도 없어 고랑이래 코르베기 테니레스 도스 삼로땅 삼로땅야 저라 안 단당아 나타난데 와데 ene semje 탐제게 ene 내당 동알 강여 바데 나랑게 나잔데라 누네 엔디 코쳐버려 semje 탐제라 ndetabu ende atin 나타 때네 면종와 효적서는 동네지 먹봐 곰 어다 대족직 탐람 망보지 열었어
For people who know how to meditate, of course, there are many things we can do to carry pain to the path. This is especially true with the teachings of mind training. The mind training tradition is rich with instructions in this. So one thing you can do is sort of like we were just speaking about, you can look directly at that pain and use that pain as an object of meditation. So that's the first thing you can do. The second thing, you can use this pain for reflection. You can reflect on the fact that this pain or this suffering that I'm experiencing now has come about because of negative actions that I have done in the past. This is the ripening of that. So that can be a helpful reflection to help us gain confidence in karma. Third, you can also think that from beginningless time, for as long as we've been taking births again and again in the confused world, we would say in samsara, we have experienced the suffering of birth, old age, sickness, and death again and again and again. These, we say, are the principal sufferings that we experience in this human realm. So I know these very well. I'm experiencing a lot of the suffering of old age right now. I'm old just like you're old. My eyes don't see like they used to. My ears don't hear as well. My leg hurts from time to time. My mind isn't as clear as it once was. So when these things arise, we can reflect on the fact it's not only us who experiences these things. All beings have to go through this. I mean, if it was only us, we might feel a little discouraged, or that like life was somehow unfair or set up against us. But this is just actually the natural way of the world. This is the way life in samsara unfolds. So while you're experiencing these things, you can again use the mind training teachings and think, okay, I'm already experiencing this pain, this suffering. May all the other sentient beings who are experiencing pain and suffering even greater than mine, I wish that I could take their suffering and let my experience of this suffering take the place of all the suffering that these beings need to feel. By my experiencing it, may they be free of it. So in this way, with this attitude, you can use that pain as a support or encouragement to meditate on taking and sending. So now you've used that pain in a virtuous way. So there are many different means we can use to incorporate pain into our practice.
There may be a conflict, it certainly is in my mind, but maybe you can clarify it through the question. If we are, for instance, avowed as a bodhisattva, why would we concentrate on Dewa-chen and Amitabha?
다 장줍 셈바이나가 대화제를 계획 볼람 흉차 답고레스 거의 세나 다당아도 에네야 기타 장줍 셈비게 장줍 셈바다레 이네 나도 장줍 셈비게 줘봐 셈제라 펜바다 대화 자첨보 줍고요 말레스 대화제는 끼나 아니 오바메 아메타바 나도 티차레스 계획이니래 아니 콩게베 다이렉트 이 추송 나도 대냠낼 전 족보 에네티네 사당 람게 렘바 타르체네 상제 콤방 족보 톱 그래 족보 톱네 테네 셈제 돈 빠든 메바 에네야 테네 돈톱 그래 텔레테네 에네야 대화체는 계획 몰람 계획 장줍 셈바 케롭 흉보 난조 향바 가지고 테네 다 주빅 라마 탕보 케롭 흉보 난조라 와스 케롭 흉보 난조를 콩에네야 드네 고시행로도 나 대화제는 로이스 아메타바콘도 드네 대화제는 로네 아니 족보상제그레스 아니 처랑도 내 제족 마음바라 내 로마 케롭 흉보 난조를 주 냠내 쟁게 수나 대 처랑도 상마 대화제는 뭐감 잡혀서 나 드네 요레스 대화제는 아니 나도 제그레스 and talk song yours. The Changrup Samba in Duka, Dewache, gave him Molam Labardo, and that would it. Diane and that don't yours. Tanganang, but Taki Bochuk the Dewach go to. Di Todala and Dewache, Jago, those Samna, there's Tewachung Lores. That's Simjin Tamjilla, Pemberton, Dewa Yachamus Dukudo. Dig duplicate in it, but Nuba Chapar change the top Kudo. They top a lot, not new to Sangja, come on top Kudo. They topic said to Dewache like Jagudo, Sabi, or some location, take what you book in it, that because Samba Manor Pares or Tuxi.
So maybe a little bit of background first. This is not from Rinpoche, but just since I know there are some people here who are newer. There are these places or these lands, we say, where one can take birth, one can experience oneself being, that come about from the accumulation of merit of other Buddhas. So Buddhas accumulate a lot of merit, and they make the aspiration that through all their positive deeds may a land come about where I can guide beings to Buddhahood very quickly without obstacles. So one of these such lands is called Dewa Chen or Sukhavati, let's say Dewa Chen. And the Buddha who made these aspirations, and through his aspirations, this land came about. This is Buddha Amitabha. So this is what we're talking about. So oftentimes in our practice, we make aspiration prayers to be born in such a pure realm. And the question is, but if we're bodhisattvas who want to be of benefit, be in the world to be of benefit to beings, why would we sort of, I think inherent in the question is, why would we look to for this out, right? So, having laid the groundwork, and a bodhisattva is someone who has vowed to remain in confused existence until all sentient beings are freed. So it can seem like there's a little bit of conflict there, right? But bodhisattvas especially make even stronger aspirations to be born in a pure realm. So yes, we are bodhisattvas on one level, right? Those who have taken the bodhisattva vow, we say we're ordinary bodhisattvas. But there's another level of bodhisattva. The higher level of bodhisattva means people who have attained realization. And through the realization and the ability they've attained, they have great power to be of vast benefit to beings. So we're bodhisattvas in name if we've taken the vow, but we don't have the qualities, we don't have the realization to be of deep benefit right here and now. We can't accomplish great benefit. We can't establish beings in happiness as we are. However, if we are born in this place, it's not like we instantly become a Buddha, actually. It's that we just now have the conditions to practice where there are no obstacles. So we meet this Buddha Amitabha. We directly, as Rinpoche said in English, directly you receive instructions from Amitabha, and then you can very quickly progress through the path. We talk about the path in terms of the 5 paths of the 10 levels, but anyway, you quickly progress through these and become a Buddha. And then once you have this realization of a Buddha, then you can be of vast benefit to infinite numbers of sentient beings, such as you couldn't do if you were just born in the ordinary world. So for example, we have the great scholar and siddha Khenpo Naljor. So Khenpo Naljor is the founder of the Shangpa Kagyu lineage, a lineage to which this Dharma Center belongs. He's like the first Tibetan Lama of this lineage. And when he died, he said, I'm going to Dewa Chen to be in the presence of Amitabha. Through this, one can quickly attain Buddhahood. So all of my students, all those who come in the future who are part of my tradition, you should follow me there. You also should make aspirations to be born there. I'm going to be there waiting for you, and then we'll meet again. And once you're born there, you can then, as we said, practice, attain realization, and then more quickly be of deeper benefit to all sentient beings. So that's why especially the bodhisattvas would want to be born there. Now, there are different ways of thinking about wanting to be born in Dewa Chen, which is kind of getting to your question. So if you think, oh, this world is so difficult and I've experienced so much suffering, I just want to be peaceful and happy. If you're thinking about this for your own benefit, then that is a mistaken motivation. That is the motivation of what we would call a lesser vehicle. But if your wish is to be born there so that you can be of deeper benefit to more beings in a quicker fashion, then this is the correct way to make aspirations to be born in Dewa Chen. And this would be the unerring path with the Mahayana motivation.
Rinpoche, as I age, I become more aware of possibility of death, and have worked and I work more as I age with people who are near their death. And I've discovered that when I am, perhaps I've had a relationship of friction and trouble with this person or that, when I see that they are in the process of dying, my relationship to them changes. It just changes, just by virtue of that awareness. And however, it's still, even with lots of effort, very conceptual. I'm unable to really sense organically the fact of my own death and that the death of others.
You're unable to sense it.
What?
You're unable to sense it.
I organically, to really feel it. It's mostly conceptual. When I do sense it more deeply, it does change my relationship, both to myself and to others. There is a change. There is some type of transformative thing. I'm just wondering how one can cultivate that. I really do wish to cultivate that more.
소소 인디아 torba higre sambi torba 다 소소 higre samate nima rera di tagje chena tanang neta mare ngarang so india tene kine ta pardo india ta lokazo chezo de sarbare ta de yongya yo mare ngado te nima rera hindu ene tuzo kande nyobon rogo 두도 녀본 로바 대담징아도 치발라 있는 독단 로기 여 다당아도 치비 람갈 로기도 여 치비게 람갈 하이웨이 낭 로도 여 단 non-stop 지기반 로기 여 안다고 히비기 destination 때다 딱 랩레 여 때 가인세나 나도 녀본 로기 여 stop 참시하고 여 말에 된다선데 텔레삼로 땅에 단 욕보시 그래. 아니 시빈 내가블라 다 다득제 거래. 시그래 섬도 다되는 팽게 말봐. 시도 이거를 왕한도 상마 시그래. 랑신이라 봐. 거르베까. 시빈 내가블라 다득제 거래. 시빈 내가블라 직다 매봐. 직다 매비 직다 매봐 마세. 아니 난조 랍 시발라 가세. 난조 딩 시발라 메세르도 다테 직다 매봐 나저 타마 시발 단 겨봐 매봐 당가랑 메세들라 강 톱톱에니야 멜라 펜바 당가랑 개와 강 톱톱 드비 가랑 톱도 제 시베 내가 란델 하바 제야메 네 득바는 망보사메 멜도바 디메 셈베기 겨봐 매봐 메타마이나 등이나 때베 서와 매봐 다 나저 라베나 베 시발 가봐 가스도 힘 가르가 되더라. 다 이슈바나기 대화진. 개주여 봐. 아니 즉 샘진에 로 차자 첨부 잡아 떠되어나 안 다나게 상게 두고. 샘제 빠도 매발 펜 터도 그래. 들어서 아니 시빈 내가블라 시반 욕보 연구여 봐. 나도 딱제 전에 하고 그래. 되네 시빈 내가블라 다 여봐 매봐. 시 차르네 ngazo ne lamga de tan rosa de tan da trade ya bo che ko de ngana to ta chuba chu nyamne jingin ke lenge yakhu je ta kewa chima la pembe ke ne tin chu de ne par drop ko sendi de je da 심지 돈도 무슨 속에 내 드롭도 비어스 나도 깨와 치매게 내 돈다 죽죽도 뺏게 좀 버려 때 다득 제 거랬어 단단해.
So yeah, of course we're all going to die. We all know that we're going to die, and that's going to come at some point in the future, right? So that means that with every day that passes, we're one day closer to death, right? So how old are we? How many years have passed? Those are gone, that's for sure. And with each day, how fast does it seem like a day goes? Seems like a day goes pretty quickly most of the time. So that fast are we approaching death? It's like we're on, as Rinpoche was saying in English, a highway. These wonderful American highways where you never have to stop, right? With every moment, we're getting closer and closer to, as Rinpoche said in English, our destination. Yeah? So, since the days are going fast, that means we're approaching death quickly. So we need to think about this, and we need to, the more we reflect on it, the more we can take it to heart. And the more we take it to heart, the more we can be inspired to prepare. So we don't reflect on death and the fact that we're going to die to make us scared and sad and afraid. There's no point in that, right? I mean, this is going to happen for all of us, so there's no point in that. We think about it to inspire us to prepare, to do things that are going to be beneficial at that side, or at least at that time, or at least not harmful at that time. So we say that actually for the highest capacity practitioners, when they think about the fact that they're going to die or that death is coming soon, they're actually excited. Yeah? For the middling level practitioners, maybe they're not excited, but they're not like afraid of it. They're not shying away from it. And for the lowest level practitioners, at least they have no regret. Why don't they have regret? Because they've practiced the Dharma. They've done their best to not engage in negative actions. They've done their best to engage in as much virtue as they have, as they could. So that means they've used their life in a meaningful way, so they've adhered to the path. No need to have regret. So why are these people, the highest capable practitioners, excited? That's because they have this sense of what's coming. Maybe they're excited to be born in the pure realm of Amitabha so they can practice. Maybe they're great practitioners of Mahamudra, and as we know, the nature of mind arises at the time of death. So maybe they're excited in an easier way than it does in life. So maybe they're excited to have the opportunity to rest in the nature of mind. If you can rest in the nature of mind at death at the right time, we say liberation is actually that easy, and then instantly you start engaging in activity to be a vast benefit to sentient beings. So we need to think about this. We need to reflect on this. And we need to use our time wisely. We need to prepare for the eventuality that's coming through our practice, through our aspirations, etc. So the best thing we can do with this life is actually prepare for our future lives. It's the animals who don't think about anything other than the moment, what to eat next, where they're going to stay, just this life. They don't think about the future in the way that we have the capacity to. So it's important that we do this.
가르쳐 줬단다. 등상 다 저당 잠불랭 추맹게 아니 저당 밑에 기보 대den게 나와 기보 대den게 추단에 캐면에 추매봐 대줄라 아니 치와메다 바 거히나다 콘스탄 강마 오더 디디까지 해만 암저 예안 도바다니요 말스 이나양 나랑서 추 냠레 징게 추 냠레 징게 솔라 다 치와메다 베코데 다 개체버려 삼로 땅주 개체버려 아니 해야 개 디콜 해주 개자체 개체버려 삼로 땅주 개체버려 시비 깝게 내당 칸데 용고요메 티 개체버려 히산에 내당 칸데 용고요메 대내야 개체버려 엔 대돌았다는 타득 지켜대 다 백개체버려 나는 또추 냠네 쟁게 임비 인바 촐라 다 치와 메다 앞에 거데 뱀메세 비게 참보레 게 치유레 삼노당 주티
For beings in the world who don't adhere to a spiritual tradition, who really just want to live their lives and be happy, if you talk to them about the truth of death and impermanence, they don't want to hear it. It's kind of it hurts their ears, so to speak. But for a Dharma practitioner, it's very important to actually to do these reflections on death and impermanence, to reflect on the fact that it's going to happen, to talk about, to understand what you should know about this process, what's going to happen at the point of death, what's going to happen after death. It's important to understand these things so that you can be prepared, so that you can skillfully traverse it. So for Dharma practitioners, the reflections on and understanding death and impermanence are one of the most important points there are.
As long as we're on death and dying. Oregon is one of the few states where there is a permission in the law for assisted suicide, medically assisted suicide. And I wonder what Rinpoche's feeling is about what this means for a Dharma practitioner.
다 낭비추라 양 렘바카게 지요레 소소 타르빅 돈바세 소소 타르빅 돈바 특바 오마 데라 답변은 나한테 보이나 단다 gelong레스 소소 타르빅 돈바 에네 에네 다 매직 있는야 힌도고도나 다 콜에 있는 그런 희쪽 나에게 있는 배다 신의 딱다레서야서는 신의 약보레서야서는 다 희바도 소바니 다 저런 신의 가그레서야서는 내게서 랍자 대잡 될라 때네 에네 코 있는 야트네 배면도사 에네야 시송와이나 등알이 니바요레스 제 초마레스 년도 글록다잖아 다양 장줍 선배게 내 특별 왕도 제나 다 조근홍라라 레바레스 다 근홍 배삼바 배 상보 넘버 타바 닝제 단데 희주네 희다 쳐바레 다 배다 상인다고 신도요래 다 단다 배메세 배 나사 효체 뭐요래 다 대대 나사 뇽알레 다 타고 희송나 가게래 삼네 안제 근홍 남다게 돈네 ane chak shibe ki ta tabke lapchada jamna ko pemba mado ene nipa peche yoji mare kanyasina ta ko kunung de nambar takpare tekwa changchu senpe kabla zu kunung la ra lepares kunung samba sangpo.
So there are a couple ways of looking at this from the perspective of the Dharma. So in terms of what we would call the foundational teachings, we have the vows of individual liberation. So people who are monks and nuns, like I'm a fully ordained monk, Rinpoche is saying, so I have these vows. So for me, with these vows, the bhikshu vow, if I were to help somebody die, if I would see their situation and see, oh, it'd be better if they didn't experience this suffering, and I sort of gave them advice to or helped them to take their life, this would be impossible for me. I can't do that. There would be a fault in that. That is breaking my vows. But however, if we look at this question from the perspective of the Bodhisattva vehicle, so the Mahayana, in the Mahayana, the most important thing, what's more important than our individual actions, is the motivation behind them. So if it were the case that someone truly had the highest altruism in mind and nothing but that in mind, if there was a person who it was certain that they were going to die tomorrow and they were definitely experiencing a lot of suffering, maybe, and I can't say maybe, I think that maybe if the motivation were only to help and be of the deepest benefit, then to give someone advice to do that, to end their life, then maybe it would be okay. Because again, in the Bodhisattva vehicle, the most important thing is the motivation. Oh, we have one in the balcony. And if there are others in the balcony, now's the time.
So I just have a short question that I think probably has a short answer. What is the importance of diet and exercise in this program or lifestyle?
Colors. Juya be color. Lujong. Dear Golong la ra lebare. Ne lu de za chambores, make lu. Lu make lu kebar pakbandi, me mangbola in the ya, same jay mangbola pen taku yores. Me dang did the same jay mangbola pen tapala, ne lu de pe devo. Lu tangbo, tse ringbo, ne meba, di gu yores. Di yung wik che do, ane nga kala chu chambo sa. Ane lu jong yakbo che, dela tene lu devo, tse ringbo. Ane dela tene, ane nyamne che, dela tene, hikeda la penta. Do se ane ya tene, gunong sangbo che che ba ina. Danda kala sangbo, himbo sa ya te, da lu jong che ya te, gewa len rugres. Angang in the bed, lu devo young ban, zebo young by bed devo. Dichiko some lot tang tena, taco, so to tell a telegawa thing matters. Colonel Lu devo the young what?
This also depends on motivation. So let's say your motivation is, oh, I have this precious human birth, and this is a great vehicle, actually. So if I take care of this great vehicle, and your motivation is to use this body to be of great benefit to sentient beings, so, and because you want to be of great benefit to sentient beings, you want to be healthy, and you want to live long, and you want to be free of illness, and based upon this, based upon these positive conditions of my body, this will allow me to be of greater benefit for a longer time, and with this motivation, you eat right and you exercise. This is very good. Eating that good food, doing that exercise, absolutely is virtue. However, if your motivation is to look good, you know, if your motivation is maybe is somewhat lesser in this sense, if it's vain, then if you're eating well for these reasons and just exercising for a reason like this, then that wouldn't be a cause for virtue, actually. Balcony. Oh, back. No. I didn't say there's. No. I don't mean there's one in the balcony. I was asking, are there more in the balcony? But now he's already up there with the microphone, so. Okay.
I'm aware that as the years of my practice continue, I feel more and more the suffering of others. And maybe I'm driving to work and I'm listening to the news and I hear about millions of people starving and the refugees and I can't help but crying. And I've been thinking a lot lately that I have a very, very, very comfortable and privileged life. And I sit in my comfortable room on my comfortable zafu doing my practice. And I've recently asked myself about my motivation and how strong would my motivation be if it meant leaving my comfortable life and going somewhere and actually taking more action in the alleviation of suffering. And I can't, it's hard for me to, I'm not going to do that. I don't intend on doing that, but I realize that there's a part of me that it's like, okay, I care deeply about the alleviation of suffering, but I'm afraid that there's a part of me that says, well, I do to a point. Like I question whether I would actually give up my life and go and really be uncomfortable and really help people by taking action.
그래. 샘지ken. 소소도 에 농아 종나 그래 다 대다 양 로토바 에네야 로야게 되는 차진 여봐 tun진 여봐 엔드 파길라 로토바 에네 송네 에네 되는 로바체 투비야 여봐 대도 이나네 때 라네다니 야보래 다이나 에네 야체 로야라 칼레카보 로주게 tun진 에네 야드니 칼레카보 파길랩네 에네 야드니 양 펜타야라 에네 양 칼레카보 대도 이나네 거 탑기 매바래 다 소소 샘게 오늘 제가 다 특바 첨부했나 때 동네에 받았지 다큐래 라바 샘제 동안 나다바 대다게 이네 동안 탐제 랑게 이네 때 렘베게 mek 받지 에네 랑게 이네 단다 대지 폰좀 써봐야 봐 근데 에네 샘제 대다 탐제는 토바르 효산베게 mek 받지 동네 mek 받 겁나 에네 거 이네 양제 랑라 거 특바 첨부게 이네 고롱데 다 첨부했다 랑라 이네 파누스 샘제텔라 이네 페마도나 아니 소소 샘티기 고농들 때는 양 배용 삼지 못 잡아 소소 톱그레스 다 강달 때 소소 파길라 즉 로톱다 마도 펜다 톱다 마도 다 대니야 소소 딱지 해야 돼.
Yeah, even if we want to go and go to these places and like alleviate the suffering, if we reflect upon the practicality of it, do we have the wherewithal to actually go? and give up our life here? Once we got there, would we have the means, the resources to be of the benefit that we would want to be? If one were to look into these questions and find that the answer is yes, well then okay, yeah, maybe it's better to go and do what you can do, but probably this is kind of rare. So when we experience this suffering, when we hear about this suffering of other sentient beings, we can use it for the furtherance of our practice. You know, that we can definitely do. That we have the ability to do. So for example, we have the practice of taking and sending. And in this practice, you imagine taking on the suffering that we hear about. So imagining that you willingly take on the suffering of these people you hear about that don't have food or who have become refugees, and you imagine meditating that you share with them all of the enjoyments, the pleasantness, the well-being that you have in this life that you have here. And even if you can't be of immediate benefit to these people through this practice, through this development, this is definitely laying the groundwork for future ability. So again, if you can and go to these places and do these things, if that seems feasible, then of course that's wonderful. But in the meantime, we should use this to train our mind to abandon our attachment to our good things and to be willing to think about and strengthen our mind in being willing to take on the suffering of other beings. And if we can do this, there definitely will be great benefit to our mind that can bear fruit down the road.
Rinpoche, thank you for being here. So, I'm satisfied that my intent for some of my work, my projects, my practice, especially my work relates to my practice. I'm satisfied that the intent is pure. It's a good sattva. Some of the motivations to actualize my intents, well, sometimes they pick up some worldly pleasures, and I just think, well, that's I'll use that and transform it as a further motivation. So from intent to motivation, I pick up momentum. Let's say I'm working on a project, writing a book.
Intent and motivation, I'm not sure about the difference between those
well, if I have let's say I have a noble intent, let's say I want to write a book that'll help people, right? So some of the motivations that I use to do my intent, sometimes along the way it's less than pure, or it seems like it's contaminated, that there's worldly pleasures, or somehow from intent to motivation, what actually motivates me during the day to go do this intent. Well, if it pick up a worldly pleasure, well, I just think, well, I need to use that transform that as a further motivation towards purity, towards the satisfying this intent, do this pure thing, this work. And then, so this, from intent to motivation, picks up momentum. Okay, let's say I'm working on a book or my practice, some project. The momentum, it seems like I'd rather not be entirely carried away by this in an autopilot way, that along the way the motivations somehow make it harder for me to keep a clear sight of the original intent, the original purity. And so when I go from intent to motivation to momentum, then the momentum sometimes get out of balance, and I have to stop my project or retool or reframe, and I'm wondering if there's a trick to, or if there's somehow, if I can maintain more brilliant visualization of intent, of the purity, the goodness, inherent goodness of the project, then maybe down the way the momentum won't. I don't know. I have to stop and fix that wobbly wheel on the cart.
Mm-hmm. 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 그래 다 꼴롱 당보 넘버 딱바제 ene 발람 리앙 지 꼴롱 넘버 마다 바제 제게 요다 근데 거 제히 하고 요래서 다들 꼴롱 넘버 마다 바래도 꼴롱데 드마제래도 약보면도 근데 약보 말에 삼소즈가 하고 바제네 꼴롱 마다 바데 딱발라더니 야 겨르고래서 딱바카네 겨르거든 당보 꼴롱 나게 안지다 셈제 망볼라 팬빅셔도 아니 탭데 아니 좀 버차기 잠네 아니 뜨네 셈제 빠도메 발라 팬 토버셔 아다테 이제 땅 양도 또 삼로 땅도 개체 뭐래 아니 배야 정나 약벌에 배야 거 효레스 배야 걸라 삼로 마당 아니 삼로고 아니 야테네 다 셈제 탐제를 팬빅체도 네 탭데 좀 우유 아니 드네 탭데 좀 발라테네 다 파제 매봐 요보통 토버셔 아니 잠네 셈제 빠도 매발 팬 토버셔 삼 고노 타랑 로스 다 배야 거 효라레스 배야 콜라 삼로 땅고 말레스 배야 거랑 얘기 용고 요레스 디거 삼로 땅고 말레스 탭좀 산네 탭도 좀 그래 배야도 톱 그래 왔 근데 다 배야 톱네 있는 드그레스 간주 hin가 다배 주던데 가르나 hin가 야보 즉 따바이나 아니 hin가 더 상년 제부 매용으로 아니 hin기냥라 자 망보 톱용으로 자 즉 따따당 아니 바족도 대소사야 또나 자 망보 되용으로 아니 간도 아니 야 hin가 다비아테 제부 아니 즉다 조던데라 소비 로도 틸 맥네 hinga tabare mato tsai thonda la hinga tab yo marwa sangni hinga thadang meyong to tsa thop gare ede drebti lodo de thop gare tsa ede ko tundo to te chogro ta pete nang hires.
So, in the beginning of any project, maybe our motivation's pure, and of course, it's always possible that the motivation can change into impure motivation. So what do we need to do? We need to recognize when that happens. So how are we going to recognize it? We're going to recognize it by employing the faculties of mindfulness and awareness. And then when you see these other motivations creeping in, you just go back to that initial pure motivation. So you started to make an analogy, and I might have, I think I added one thing to it when I explained it. So let's say you want to compose a book that you think will be a benefit to a lot of sentient beings. Good motivation in the beginning, right? But then maybe sometimes while you're working, you also know that if this book is a benefit and sells well, you're going to get some money. So maybe from time to time, you're kind of focused on getting the money and you lose the initial intent of being a benefit to beings. So again, it's still the same though. You just go back to that initial motivation. Do it for the benefit. Make the aspiration again and again. Since this project is to be a benefit to beings, may it happen without obstacle, may it come about quickly, and may it really be a benefit to sentient beings. And if the money comes, it comes, you know. Don't focus on that. Don't do it for that purpose. It's kind of like farming. So let's say you're gonna have a field and you're gonna grow rice, okay? So you grow the rice, you harvest the rice, and then what do you have left over? You have these stalks that the rice grew on, right? But you gather the stalks too. And you use those stalks to feed the horses, the cows, whatever kind of animals you have on your land. So your initial motivation for planting the field wasn't to get the hay, it was to get the fruit of the grains, it was to get the rice. So it's not bad that the hay comes too. So you have this kind of bonus. So use the bonus for something good, right? You can use this hay to feed your animals, to be a benefit to the animals. I think this analogy applies to your circumstance as well.
Hello, Rinpoche.
Is there someone after before me? Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you. I've struggled with depression since I was very young, and this makes practice quite difficult quite often. How should I practice with grief, sorrow, and the act of crying?
음. 다 되네. 샘 같이 밤고도 샘 밤고 비 줌데다 알탕고 삼당 거랬. 줌데 다서 샘 밤도 말 봤. 되네. 샘 밤은 그 줌데 다도 줌데 될라더니 냐보 땡 거랬. 냐보. 냐보 때 망보여랬. 샘 밤고 비 줌데 요치래 줌데 될 냐보 땡 거랬.
So you should look and try and see if you can understand the reason why that depression or that grief or the tears come. And then if you can understand the reason, then you will have an ability to apply an antidote. And there are many different kinds of antidotes that can be applied. But the first thing to do is try and get some understanding of why it's come about in the first place, and then figure out what the antidote is and apply it.
답변나. 땅에 곰산 싱면도 나페 릭파면도 곰자 싱면도 톱게면도 나가 싱면도 삼 근데 샘 밤되게 여나 다들 빼래. 아니 나 미래와 가르치는 말이지. 싱그레스. 양 뒤갑라에 때서 나잘 거랬어. 저당 두주 나잘 세야지 년게 말았어. 양들 샘 밤되게 내가 양 때서 나잘 되는. 가르치는 나 미래와서. 가르치는 미기 네 주라 상제 토픽이 주 대화식 비닝보 말이어스 장주 샘제 에네야드네 다주 말이어스 주 말이어도 네 드럽나 가르치 드럽나도 없삼바 근데 그 샘주야 제 쪼바제네 에네 검나 팽그레스 다 벤로인.
So I don't know your particular situation, but I'm just going to make an example. So let's say you start to meditate, but you start to think, oh, I can't meditate. I'm not very smart. I don't have the mind for this. I really just don't know anything. Okay, so some people might think like this. Just an example. So in this type of instance, you need an antidote. So what's the antidote here? It's some pride, actually. So usually pride is kind of a negative affliction, right? But in some cases, it can be actually useful to understand your situation better. So you say, so I'm a human, right? So I'm a human, and therefore, within my being is this very seed of attaining Buddhahood. We call it Buddha nature, right? I have this. I'm human, so I have this. Within my nature, I have the very seed of the realization of bodhicitta. Anyone who has these things, if they do the practice, they can realize these qualities. So in this way, you should remind yourself of the positive qualities, the antithesis of whatever the problem is, find the antidote and apply that as best you can.
Rinpoche, I was just wondering if my Buddha nature was indistinguishable from another person's Buddha nature, or whether they're unique.
오콜라 체결을 뭐직 바랬고 이나지 저당게다 소소 셈나라 아니야 되는 대지경 보여를 때 있는 대지경 그런 게 연대 직 바랬디어스.
So we say this is true for each individual. Each individual has Buddha nature, and the essence of these Buddha natures is the same essence, but we don't say it's just one Buddha nature. So I think our time's up for the evening, is that right? Okay. So we'll recite the dedication prayer. page 7. O sonam di tamche zepa ni tomne ni pe dana bamje kega na je bala tuba isebe sole drova rahyo baoje rakemba kundo sambo deyang diki Teta kungi jisu dalon gewan teta tamji ratu sanje koson yepe chenla dan chunye mengyur dembe chenla dan gendu meche dembe chenla ge chedarang wa monamandu paraihyo.